Reaction to the story. Let's speak to David Elstein, the former B-Sky B and ITV executive. He joins us on the phone. Thanks very much for being with us. I don't know how much you heard there of Steve Hewlett. He said that Tony Hall had weight, experience and brings stability. Would you agree with that assessment?
Well, look, Tony's an excellent person who was turned down for the job in 1999 when Greg Dyke was selected, and who couldn't be bothered to apply for the job last time, which is only 8 months ago, and moreover wasn't thought worthy of approaching and being offered the job then. He's past the BBC retirement age. By the time of the charter renewal, he'll be 66, 67. I mean, it's just a sign of how hopeless the BBC Trust and its chairman are, that if he was such a great candidate in November, why wasn't he a great candidate in June? It makes a nonsense of the appointments process for a major public position.
I'll come to that process in a moment, but do you not accept what the Trust has said, that Tony Hall has been an insider? He was at the BBC for 28 years, is currently an outsider, and perhaps most importantly, they point out, given where we are now, his experience as a former BBC journalist will prove invaluable as the BBC looks to rebuild its reputation in that particular area. Would you not accept that that is true?
Unless they're also saying that the current Director of News and Current Affairs, who's been in the job for some years, Helen Bowden, is useless. Appointing someone who last did the job in 1999 seems to me quixotic, at the very least. Look, I've got nothing against Tony Hall as a person. He's been an excellent leader of the Royal Opera House. He's done terrific work there. He's on the board of Channel 4. He was a very good head of news for the BBC. So what? You know, at 61, you have to ask yourself why he is thought to be someone who, presumably, they're not just appointing him for 2 years. So he's going to be there for 5 years?
But come on,
really?
You took a swipe there at Helen Bowden. Given all that has happened in that particular area of journalism, is it not a good thing that the new Director General, the top job, is a former BBC journalist with a proven, very long track record?
As I say, I've got no problem with Tony Hall as a person. And by the way, what went wrong with BBC journalism happened when Helen Bowden was taken out of the firing line. As far as I know, the final decision on the transmission of the second Newsnight story, the one that libelled Lord McAlpine, was taken by a former marketing executive who runs BBC Northern Ireland. You know, nothing to do with Helen Bowden at all.
Well, that's exactly why I was quibbling with your swipe. You talked about the process. Do you think the process is transparent enough? The process we've just seen come up with this new name.
Completely opaque. There was no transparency about it at all. I mean, I signed a petition to the BBC Trust asking for any candidate, or if there was more than one, all the candidates, to put out a brief statement of their vision for the BBC. Nothing of the sort has happened. We've got a worse process than last time. And even if we end up with the right person, it is to the deep discredit of the Trust and its chairman that they've gone down this opaque, not just opaque, through a glass darkly route.
OK, David Elstein, we will leave it there, but thank you for your time. Thank you.
And just to say, a couple of comments coming through from Tony Hall himself. I believe passionately in the BBC, and that is why I have accepted Lord Patton's invitation to become Director General. The organisation is an incredibly important part of what makes the United Kingdom what it is. Of course, it matters not just to people in this country, but to tens of millions around the world as well. It has been a difficult few weeks, but together we will get through it. There is more besides, but that just gives you a sense of what Tony Hall is saying. To remind you, there is a news conference due at 3:30 this afternoon, so doubtless much more about that. And also to say, as we've been hearing, Tony Hall takes up the job of DG in March, so it's a few months away, and the Trust confirming that Tim Davie will remain the acting Director General until Tony Hall begins his post at the BBC, takes up his post.